6 months after Harold Keller's death, the familiar sound of woodworking machines faded as Sabine turned off the last piece of equipment for the day. October in Augsburg brought a penetrating cold that she had felt most acutely since Harold had left. 6 long months of trying to sustain the company they had built together during their 28-year marriage on her own. "Frau Keller, do you need anything before I leave?" asked Klaus, the company's oldest carpenter, as he organized his tools. "No, Klaus, thank you. Have a good evening," Sabine replied, forcing a smile. Everyone treated her with excessive delicacy, as if she might break at any moment. Alone in the office, Sabine looked at the financial reports on her desk. The numbers didn't lie. The company was surviving, not thriving. Harold had always handled the business side, international contacts and expansion. She understood quality, production, and design, but international marketing and exporting were uncharted territory. A notification flashed on her laptop. The European Furniture Business Network group on LinkedIn had new messages. Harold had joined years ago, but she rarely paid attention. Perhaps it was time. A discussion centered on exporting to emerging markets. Dozens of entrepreneurs shared experiences. Then one comment caught her eye. Mehmet Osman, CEO, Istanbul Premium Imports. As an importer established in Turkey for 15 years, I can say German quality remains the gold standard here, especially handcrafted furniture. The market is hungry for German authenticity. I am interested in connecting with serious producers seeking real expansion. Sabine clicked his profile. Mehmet Osman, 35, business administration graduate from Istanbul University, CEO for 15 years. Photos showed a well-dressed man with a confident smile at trade fairs and business meetings. His approach seemed different, not a pushy salesman, but someone discussing long-term partnership and respect for tradition. Without overthinking, Sabine typed a reply. Sabine Keller, Keller Mobile, Augsburg. Interesting perspective, Herr Osman. Our company produces handmade German furniture for 3 generations. We are curious about the Turkish market, but have never found the right partner. Could we exchange ideas? The reply came in under 2 hours. Frau Keller, what an honor. I researched your company, impressive tradition and exceptional quality. Exactly what our clients seek. I am very interested in discussing possibilities. Please send a private message with your contact details. I have ideas that may interest you. Sabine hesitated. Harold had always warned about online contacts, but this was LinkedIn, a professional platform, and she desperately needed new opportunities. Mehmet's private message arrived the next morning with a detailed proposal. Dear Sabine, may I call you that? I stayed up late thinking about our conversation. I see enormous partnership potential. The Turkish premium furniture market is worth $2.3 billion annually, with 67% of consumers preferring European brands. Attached is a market report I commissioned last year. See pages 23 to 27 on German furniture specifically. I have 127 points of sale in Istanbul, Ankara, and Izmir. My clients pay a premium for authentic German quality. Your company would be perfect. Asterisk my initial proposal. An exclusive Keller line for Turkey. We start with a $45,000 trial order, growing with demand, offering you a 35% margin, well above your domestic market. I know this is substantial information, but I am genuinely excited. Can we schedule a video call this week? I prefer face-to-face for serious business. Asterisk. I look forward to your reply, Mehmet. P.S. My grandmother always said Germans make the world's best furniture. She was right. The attached report was impressive. 47 pages of detailed analysis, charts, and accurate statistics. It looked legitimate, professional, and the numbers were tempting. That evening, Sabine called her son, Thomas. Mom, this sounds too good to be true, said the ever-cautious Thomas, so like his father. Do you know this man? Not personally, but Thomas, look at the numbers. Even 10% of what he's proposing. Mom, please, let me research this company before you commit to anything. I'm not committing. It's just a conversation. But in truth, Sabine's mind was made up. It was the first time in months she had felt anything beyond sadness and worry. She felt hope, possibility, a chance not just to survive but to grow. Harold would be proud. The video call was set for Thursday at 8 p.m. German time. Mehmet insisted on the late hour. After my team leaves, I can focus completely on our conversation. When the call connected, Sabine was impressed. Mehmet was exactly as pictured, well-dressed, warm smile, successful. His office looked sophisticated, with awards on the wall and a view of what appeared to be the Bosphorus. "Sabine, what a pleasure to finally see you," Mehmet said in near-perfect German, with a slight, charming accent. "I studied German for 8 years at university. I've always had a passion for your culture." The conversation flowed. Mehmet demonstrated impressive industry knowledge, spoke fondly of German quality, and showed photos of furniture he had imported. More importantly, he listened attentively as Sabine spoke about the challenges of running the business after her loss. "I'm so sorry about your husband," Mehmet said with genuine sincerity. "My father also died young. I know how hard it is to run a family business alone. But you are strong, Sabine. I can see it in your eyes." It was the kind of conversation Sabine hadn't had in months. He treated her as a competent businesswoman, not a fragile widow, someone who saw potential where others saw problems. "I have a proposal," Mehmet said after 2 hours. "Let's start small. Send me a detailed catalog. I'll conduct specific market research on your products. No strings attached, just exploring possibilities." It sounded reasonable, more than reasonable. It sounded like the beginning of something promising. Sabine hung up smiling for the first time in weeks. 2 months after first contact, video calls became routine. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. sharp, they discussed business, but the conversations gradually extended beyond the professional. "How was your day?" became the natural opener. Mehmet was always genuinely interested in her challenges and small successes. "Today, we finished the dining set for the Schmidts," Sabine said during a November call. "Klaus said it was one of our most beautiful pieces." Klaus is the veteran carpenter, right? The one who's been with you for 20 years? Mehmet asked, remembering a detail from weeks prior. This attention to detail impressed Sabine. Harold had done that, remembered the small things. It was rare. "Exactly. Klaus knows every inch of the factory. Sometimes I think he knows more about wood than I do." Sabine laughed. "I doubt that." Mehmet smiled warmly. "I see the passion in your eyes when you talk about your work. It's not just business to you. It's art. It's family. It's tradition." They shared more about their personal lives. Mehmet spoke of his difficult divorce 2 years prior. "She didn't understand my dedication to work." He talked about the pressure of running his father's business and the loneliness of entrepreneurship. "It's hard to find people who truly understand the responsibilities." Sabine identified completely. "Exactly. People think being an owner is about profit. They don't see the sleepless nights, the constant worry, the weight of knowing other families depend on your decisions." "You understand," Mehmet said, looking directly into the camera. "It's rare to find someone who really does." In December, Mehmet sent the research report he had promised, 63 pages analyzing Keller Mobile's potential in Turkey. It included price surveys, competitor analysis, demand projections, and mock-ups of her products in stores. "Mehmet, this must have cost a fortune," Sabine said, impressed. "Investment, not cost," he replied. "When I see real potential, I spare no effort. And Sabine, I see immense potential here." The report showed even better figures than initially estimated. Projected first-year demand of $780,000, growing to $2.1 million in year 3, with profit margins of 42%, almost double her domestic margin. "Thomas, you have to see this," Sabine told her son that evening. "The numbers are incredible. Mom, I researched the company. I found the website and some references, but something's off. The website was created only 18 months ago. For a 15-year-old company, that's strange. Maybe they recently updated it." "Thomas, you haven't seen the report. It's extremely professional. No one would spend this much time and money on a fake." I'm just asking you to be careful. Dad always said, your dad isn't here. Sabine exploded, surprising herself with her intensity. I'm sorry, Thomas. I didn't mean that. It's just, maybe it's time to take a calculated risk. Silence lingered on the line. All right, Mom. Just promise you won't make any big decisions without talking to me first. I promise. But Sabine was already mentally committed. Her conversations with Mehmet had become the highlight of her days. For the first time since Harold's death, she had something to be excited about. Someone who made her laugh, showed genuine interest, and made her feel smart and capable again. During a long call in December, past midnight in Turkey, Mehmet seemed different, more vulnerable. Sabine, can I confess something? I'm developing feelings that go beyond professional. Sabine's heart raced. Mehmet, I know it's complicated. Different countries, different cultures. But there's something about you. Your strength, intelligence, passion. I can't stop thinking about you. Sabine was silent for a moment. This was what she had secretly hoped for. I feel the same, she finally admitted. But it's complicated. It doesn't have to be, Mehmet said softly. Love knows no boundaries. My grandmother was German. She met my grandfather in Istanbul in the 1960s. They proved different cultures can come together beautifully. The story was touching, romantic, and Sabine wanted to believe it. What are you suggesting? That we see where this leads. No pressure, just honesty about our feelings. That night, Sabine went to bed with sensations she hadn't felt in years. Butterflies, anticipation, the thrill of being desired and courted. Her best friend, Maria, didn't share her enthusiasm. Sabine, you barely know this man. Online romance is one thing, but this involves serious business and real money. Maria, you're being paranoid. Mehmet is a gentleman, cultured, successful, respectful. When was the last time I met someone like that? That's my point. When something seems too perfect, maybe I deserve something perfect after everything I've been through. Maria sighed. Just promise me you'll take it slow. But slow did not describe Sabine's feelings. By January, their conversations were daily. Mehmet sent flowers to the factory. He remembered small details. How was your doctor's appointment? I hope it's nothing serious. He constantly complimented not just her beauty, but her business acumen. You have a brilliant mind for business. Harold was a lucky man, but now you're free to show your true potential. It was exactly what she needed to hear, validation that she could be more than the widow who inherited a company. She could be a successful international businesswoman. In February, Mehmet made the proposal that would change everything. Sabine, I want to meet you. I want to see your factory, meet Klaus, understand your work. I am planning to travel to Germany next month. Sabine's heart nearly stopped. You would come here? To Augsburg? For you, Sabine. I would come for you. In March, preparations for the visit began. The news electrified Sabine. 3 months of daily conversations, growing closeness, and blossoming feelings would finally become real. Where is he staying? Maria asked, concerned. Over coffee in the factory kitchen. At the Hotel Maximilian. He booked the executive suite for a week. He said when he comes for important business, he doesn't cut corners. A week? Sabine, that's a long time for a first meeting. Maria, it's not a first date. We've talked every day for months. I know him better than people I've seen in person for years. Maria shook her head. Talking on video isn't the same. People can be very different in person. But Sabine didn't want to hear reservations. She was busy planning, refurbishing the office, buying a new dress, hiring a cleaning company to make the factory spotless. I want him to see we are serious professionals, she explained to Klaus, who watched with typical German skepticism. Frau Keller, with respect, our quality has spoken for itself for 30 years. We don't need theater to impress anyone. It's not theater, Klaus. It's professional presentation. There's a difference. Thomas came from Munich the weekend before the visit. Sabine hoped he would share her excitement, but he seemed more worried than ever. Mom, I got more information on Istanbul Premium Imports. The company exists, but there are inconsistencies. The official addresses don't match the one he shows on calls. I spoke to a German importer in Turkey for 15 years. He's never heard of the company or Mehmet. Sabine felt a twinge of irritation. Thomas, Turkey is a big country. You can't know every businessman. The addresses? Maybe they moved recently. Mom, please just keep it a formal business meeting. Don't let it get personal until we're sure who he is. Are you questioning my judgment? I'm trying to protect you and the company Dad built. The mention of Harold silenced them both. His shadow loomed over every major decision. Your father isn't here to make decisions anymore, Sabine said firmly. I decide the company's future now, and Mehmet represents the best opportunity we've had in years. Thomas sighed in defeat. At least promise me we'll keep company finances separate until we have a formal contract verified by lawyers. I promise, Sabine said, but her words were automatic. She had already made a decision she hadn't shared. Mehmet had suggested that, as a show of mutual good faith, each make a symbolic investment before meeting. For him, this meant paying his travel and lodging up front, plus a $5,000 fee for technical analysis. For Sabine, it meant transferring $15,000 to a joint account they would open, demonstrating her seriousness. It's tradition in Turkish business, Mehmet explained. It shows both sides are financially committed, not just with words. Sabine hesitated initially, but Mehmet's logic seemed sound. Think of it as a reservation fee for an exclusive restaurant. We demonstrate seriousness through financial commitment. The transfer was made discreetly from Sabine's personal account. $15,000 from savings Harold never knew about. Money she kept for emergencies. Confirmation came Monday morning. Mehmet called, beaming. Sabine, we received your transfer. I'm thrilled. This confirms you are the serious partner I hoped for. Now I can finalize preparations. Did you transfer your part? Sabine asked. Of course. $5,000 is in our joint account, plus an extra $3,000 as a surprise. An early gift for our partnership. Sabine was touched. Mehmet constantly exceeded expectations, always giving more than promised. It was impossible not to trust him. On Tuesday, 3 days before his arrival, Sabine received an unexpected package. Inside was a set of Turkish jewelry with traditional blue stones, accompanied by a handwritten note. My dear Sabine, this jewelry belonged to my German grandmother. She said it should one day return to a special German woman. When I see you on our calls, I know she would approve of my choice. Wear it when we meet. I want you to feel like the queen you are. With all my love and admiration, Mehmet. Only 3 more days. I can't wait to finally hold you in my arms. The jewelry was beautiful, clearly antique and valuable. Maria, present when Sabine opened it, looked more concerned. Sabine, this is very intense for someone you've never met. Family jewelry? Declarations of love? Isn't this moving too fast? Maria, you're my best friend, but you're being cynical. Mehmet is a romantic, traditional man. In his culture, gestures like this are normal. What culture? The one he tells you about. The question bothered Sabine more than she admitted. But on Wednesday, when Mehmet called from Istanbul airport to confirm his flight to Munich, all doubts vanished. In 12 hours, I'll be there, my love. 12 hours until I can finally hold you. His voice was filled with genuine emotion. It seemed impossible to fake that anticipation, that pure joy. I'm so nervous, Sabine admitted. What if you don't like me in person? Impossible, Mehmet replied tenderly. You're more beautiful inside than out. It's an irresistible combination. That night, Sabine barely slept. She changed outfits 3 times before deciding what to wear to the airport. She checked and rechecked the week schedule. Factory tour Thursday, lunch at Augsburg's best restaurant, business meeting Friday, romantic dinner Saturday. Everything seemed perfect, planned, romantic. She didn't know that in a small Ankara apartment, a 35-year-old man named Mehmet, who was not a businessman, had no Istanbul office, and whose German grandmother was a complete fabrication, was finalizing preparations for his most ambitious scam. The jewelry, bought for $150 at a tourist bazaar. The business documents, forged by an expert. The joint bank account, controlled entirely by him. Mehmet smiled as he packed fake passports, cloned credit cards, and a laptop with profiles of 6 other German women who believed they were in love with the same successful Turkish businessman. Sabine Keller would be just another one. Thursday, March 14th, Munich Airport. Sabine arrived 2 hours early, nervous and excited, wearing her new blue dress and the Turkish jewelry. Every passenger from immigration made her heart race. Would she recognize him? Then she saw him. Mehmet emerged from the crowd as if from a film. Tailored dark suit, impeccably styled hair, a radiant smile. He was taller than she imagined, more imposing. "Sabine!" he called, arms open. The hug was warm, enveloping. He smelled of expensive cologne. For a moment, all of Maria and Thomas's worries dissolved. "You're even more beautiful in person," he whispered. "You too," Sabine replied, feeling dizzy. "How was your flight?" "Long, but worth every minute knowing you'd be waiting." During the drive to Augsburg, Mehmet was charming, attentive. He complimented the landscape, asked about historical sites, praised her BMW. "German quality is superior. I look forward to seeing your factory tomorrow," he said, placing his hand gently on hers as she drove. "After months of talking about your furniture, I'll finally see the magic." The touch was intimate without being intrusive. Sabine felt like a teenager. At the hotel, Mehmet insisted she see the suite. "I want your opinion. If we're working together this week, I need an environment where you feel comfortable." The executive suite was impressive. Spacious living area, office, panoramic view. Mehmet had invested in first impressions. "It's perfect," Sabine said. "I've learned investing in quality always pays off," he replied, opening a waiting bottle of champagne. "Just like you do with your furniture." They toasted to new partnerships and possibilities. The champagne was Dom Perignon 2010. "Mehmet, this must have cost—" "Sabine," he interrupted gently, taking her hands. "When something is important to me, I spare no effort. Our partnership is very important." Dinner was at Augsburg's most elegant restaurant. Mehmet had reserved a private table and ordered the tasting menu with wine pairings. He demonstrated impressive knowledge of cuisine, wine, and German culture. "My grandmother taught me to appreciate German culture young," he explained. "She said Germans combine tradition and innovation best." They talked business, but conversation drifted personal. Mehmet shared stories of his family, his studies in Germany, a semester in Heidelberg, the best time, his professional ambitions. "I want to build a lasting commercial bridge between our countries." Encouraged by the champagne and intimate atmosphere, Sabine asked, "And romantically?" Mehmet smiled wistfully. "Since my divorce, I've been cautious. My ex-wife, it was painful. She said I loved business more than her. Was that true? Then perhaps. But I've learned success without someone to share it with is empty." He looked into her eyes. "That's why meeting you. Someone who understands business and the heart. I knew you were special." Sabine's chest tightened. "Mehmet, I know it's early for declarations, but I need to be honest. These months talking to you have changed my perspective on everything. Business, life, possibilities." The evening ended with a tender kiss at the hotel door. Not rushed or invasive, but romantic, confirming mutual feelings without pressure. "Bis morgen, mein Schatz," Mehmet murmured in perfect German. Sabine drove home on cloud 9. It was a fairy tale, the charming, international businessman crossing oceans for her. Maria was wrong. Thomas was wrong. Sometimes good things happened. Friday, March 15th, the factory. Mehmet arrived promptly at 9 a.m., wearing a casual but elegant suit and carrying an Italian leather briefcase. "Guten Morgen, Klaus," he greeted, shaking the carpenter's hand firmly. "Sabine told me much about you. It's an honor to meet the master craftsman." Klaus, usually reserved, was impressed. Herr Osman, welcome to Keller Mobile. The factory tour was a triumph. Mehmet asked intelligent questions, praised the woodwork, and took hundreds of photos, always asking permission. For my clients in Turkey, they need to see I'm not just talking about German quality. I'm showing it. Over lunch, Mehmet presented more detailed figures via a professional PowerPoint, sales projections, margin analysis, delivery schedules. Based on today, I can increase our initial estimate, he said, showing colorful spreadsheets. The quality is exceptional. I guarantee an initial order of $67,000, not $45,000. Sabine's heart raced. $67,000 was nearly 3 months of revenue. But to secure this, Mehmet continued, I need to show my clients our partnership is solid. They're conservative. They need guarantees. What kind? A financial demonstration of mutual commitment. You did your part with the $15,000. Now I do mine. He took a bank document from his briefcase. I transferred $30,000 to our joint account this morning. Your contribution plus mine is $45,000, the exact amount of our guaranteed initial order. The document looked legitimate. Sabine was touched by his generosity. But Mehmet, you've invested twice what I have, because I believe twice as much in this partnership. He smiled. And because you mean a lot to me, Sabine. It's not just business. That afternoon, they visited 3 of Sabine's long-term clients. Mehmet was charming with everyone, genuinely interested in the furniture stories. May I use these testimonials for my Turkish clients? He asked. Satisfied German customers have huge impact. Of course, Sabine said, proud of her company's legacy. At day's end, over dinner at a traditional Bavarian restaurant, Mehmet grew serious. Sabine, I have a confession. Initially, you were another potential partner. I contact dozens monthly, but you're different. Different how? You make me want to be better. When we talk, I don't just think of profits. I think of building something lasting, meaningful. He took her hand. I think of our future. What future? A future without video calls, where we build not just a business partnership, but a life together. It was the most romantic declaration Sabine had heard in decades. I know it's early, different worlds, but true love knows no boundaries. My grandparents proved that. That night, Sabine invited him to her home, a significant step. Harold had been the only man there in 30 years. The house was filled with family photos, Keller furniture, memories. Mehmet observed with respectful awe. I see why this is special, he said, looking at her wedding photo. He looked like a good man. He was the best, and he wouldn't want me alone forever. It was true. Harold had always said he wanted her to be happy. They fell asleep together on the sofa, watching an old German film Mehmet knew from university. Nothing sexual, just closeness, comfort, the feeling of not being alone. Saturday, March 16th. The unraveling. Saturday morning began perfectly. Mehmet made breakfast. Learned from my German grandmother, he explained. You're too perfect to be real. Sabine laughed. I'm real and I'm here. And if you let me, I want to stay. It was the perfect moment, the perfect week, the perfect man. Sabine didn't know too perfect to be real was the problem. Around 4 p.m., Thomas called, agitated. Mom, I need to talk. Alone. Thomas, Mehmet is here. We can talk later. Mom, please. It's about his company. I found things out. Sabine glanced at Mehmet, who was discussing techniques with Klaus. Okay, Mehmet, I need to handle something with Thomas. Sure, my love. I'll keep studying the production. On the patio, Sabine called Thomas back. What's so urgent? Mom, I hired a private investigator. Istanbul Premium Imports was registered only 14 months ago. The address is a virtual office. They've never imported German furniture. Sabine's world spun. That must be a mistake. It's not. And more. Mehmet Osman is linked to 4 other online fraud investigations in Germany. Different cities, different victims. Thomas, that's impossible. He's here. He invested $30,000 of his own. Mom, what proof do you have? Did you see the transfer? Or just a document he showed you? The question hit like a punch. She had never independently verified it. Mom, please, no more transfers until I get there. I'm leaving Munich now. 2 hours. Sabine hung up, hands shaking. She returned to the factory, trying to stay composed. She watched Mehmet talking animatedly with Klaus. He seemed so normal, genuine. Everything okay? Mehmet asked. Yes, just Thomas worrying about details. Sabine lied. Understandable. He wants to protect his father's legacy. Around 6 p.m., alone in the office, Sabine tested her suspicions. Mehmet, could you show me the $30,000 transfer document again? For our files. Sure, he said without hesitation. Here. Sabine examined it carefully. Quality paper, bank letterhead. But something felt off. This bank, Türkiye is Bankası. Which branch in Istanbul? Mehmet seemed slightly surprised. In the Beyoğlu area. Why? Just curious. Is that your main bank? Yes, for years. Excellent service for business. But looking again, Sabine noticed the date was wrong. The document showed March 21st, Thursday, but he had shown her the document on Wednesday during dinner. He couldn't have had a Thursday document on Wednesday. Sabine felt her blood run cold. Mehmet, can I see your phone? I want to show Maria factory photos. Sure, he replied, handing it over. Sabine checked for banking apps. There were none. No business apps, no client communications, nothing indicating international business. Mehmet, your banking app isn't here. For the first time, he looked uncomfortable. Oh, I use a separate phone for security. Where is it? At the hotel. I don't carry it when relaxing. It was plausible, but combined with other inconsistencies. Then Thomas arrived. Sabine heard his car with relief and terror. Sabine, who's here? Mehmet asked. My son, Thomas. Thomas entered with a determined expression. Good evening. Thomas, a pleasure finally meeting you. Your mother speaks so highly. Thomas cut him off. Her Osman, could you show us official identification? Passport or ID? Mehmet looked surprised. Excuse me? Identification? We are finalizing contracts. It's standard procedure. Sabine realized Thomas was testing him. The tension thickened. Of course, Mehmet said, producing a Turkish passport. Thomas examined it carefully. This passport was issued 8 months ago. Unusual for someone traveling internationally on business for 15 years. Routine renewal. The previous one expired. And you have no German ID? You said you studied here. Only a temporary student visa. I'm not a resident. Thomas looked at Sabine, then back. Her Osman, my mother transferred $45,000 to accounts linked to you. I need to see official evidence of those accounts. Thomas, Sabine interjected, embarrassed. That's unnecessary. No, it's fine, Mehmet said calmly. I understand. He took his phone. I can access the account online to show you, but the connection failed. Internet problem. I can show you tomorrow at the hotel with better Wi-Fi. Or, Thomas said firmly, we can go now. The silence was heavy. Mehmet looked from Thomas to Sabine, calculating. You don't trust me. We just want verification, Thomas replied. If all is correct, no problem. Mehmet nodded slowly. I understand. Let's go to the hotel. But at the Hotel Maximilian, the night manager delivered shocking news. Her Osman checked out this afternoon at 3:30 p.m. A family emergency cut his trip short. Sabine felt the ground vanish. Impossible. He was with us. The manager checked the system. Checked out at 3:30. Bill paid in full by credit card. Thomas turned to Mehmet, who had paled. Can you explain this? Mehmet opened his mouth, closed it, tried to speak, gave up. That was when everything fell apart. Epilogue, the aftermath. The night was the longest of Sabine's life. Mehmet vanished from the parking lot. Thomas called the police. Detective Weber, experienced in fraud, arrived. Unfortunately, this is a known pattern. International romance scam with commercial fraud elements. But he was here, Sabine insisted. Physically, this is more sophisticated, a face-to-face scam. Criminals show up in person to complete large frauds. The investigation revealed devastating truths. The passport was fake. The bank documents were forgeries. Istanbul Premium Imports was a shell company. The joint account was controlled solely by the scammer. The $45,000 was immediately moved to offshore accounts. His investment never existed. This man, whose real name we don't know, is investigated in 6 similar cases in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Detective Weber said. Businesswomen 45 to 55, widowed or divorced. The pattern: months of emotional grooming online, lucrative business promises, declarations of love, then a meeting for the final blow. He showed photos of other victims, women like Sabine. This Vienna woman lost $78,000. Zurich, $134,000. All believed they loved a successful Turkish businessman. Sabine cried, not just for the money, but for the humiliation of being completely deceived. The jewelry? She asked. Fake, worth about $50. The gifts paid for with cloned credit cards. We found 12 different cards in his name. Every revelation was a stab. Everything was a lie. How did he know so much about furniture? Extensive research. He studied your company for weeks, websites, social media, public records, possibly contacting former employees posing as clients. The perfect German? Mehmet is likely a German citizen of Turkish origin, using his background as part of the scam. On Saturday, more details emerged. Mehmet had left clues: a laptop in a rental car, discarded cards, a notebook with 8 other potential German victims. You were first on the list, Detective Weber said. Klaus admitted he'd noticed inconsistencies. He asked right questions, but his answers were theoretical, like from reading, not experience. Maria found Sabine devastated on her sofa. Sabine, I'm so sorry. I wish I'd insisted more. You tried to warn me. Thomas tried. I just wanted to believe. Anyone would have. He was convincing. But Sabine blamed herself. How could she have been so naive? The financial loss was severe but survivable. The emotional damage was worse. I truly believed he loved me. It wasn't just business or money. I thought I'd found someone who understood me. Detective Weber later updated them. We identified his real name: Andreas Mertens, 37, born in Dusseldorf to Turkish immigrants, but culturally German. Andreas was arrested at the Czech border. In his car, $127,000 cash, multiple fake IDs, evidence of 14 similar scams across Europe. The good news: we froze some accounts. You can recover about $28,000. It was better than nothing, but the emotional wound remained. 3 months later, at Andreas Mertens' trial, Sabine faced him. He looked smaller, ordinary, without the manufactured charm. Testifying, she spoke not just of her experience, but the crime's impact on vulnerable women. He didn't just steal my money. He stole my ability to trust, my self-esteem, my faith in good people. The emotional damage lasts longer than financial loss. Andreas Mertens was sentenced to 6 years for fraud, document forgery, and emotional extortion. Sabine gradually rebuilt her life. Ironically, publicity brought Keller Mobile new local customers, supporting a family business facing adversity. The company not only survived but thrived, doubling in size and now employing 15 people. Sabine became an activist against romance scams, speaking on online safety and helping other victims. If my experience prevents others from this pain, something positive came from it. Thomas took more company responsibility, strengthening their partnership. Klaus remained the heart of production, but everyone was more cautious of too good to be true opportunities. Maria never said, "I told you so," supporting Sabine through emotional recovery. 2 years later, Sabine still felt the urge to check online messages from interesting men. But now she knew what questions to ask, what documents to verify, and, most importantly, to trust her instincts when something seemed too perfect. The emotional scar remained, but it had turned to wisdom. Sabine Keller, stronger and more cautious, continued building her family's legacy. Now protected from Princess Charming, who arrived with promises of gold and intentions of lead.